Spirit Kings. Basically there are 4 bosses, one after the other. The first boss to spawn will also be Kang. Now this is important. The whole raid has to stack on the tank for this one. He does a cleave, which has a certain amount of damage shared out amongst everyone who takes that cleave. So if there's only a few people in it, those people will die. So you basically the whole raid in there. Every now and then he conducts another sort of cleave, which is called an annihilate. That will kill you, so you have to sort of move behind him at that point. Okay. Other bosses that come in, I'll explain as we get onto them. Okay, so let's get started with them. Okay then, you'll notice we'll put a star on the tank. This is very important for stacking up on the tank. If people get ahead of themselves, go ahead, they'll probably get themselves killed on the pull. We all need to stick together so we're all taking that cleave. There we go, a couple of people just demonstrated that perfectly. Okay, what we need to do now is just watch out for an ability called Annihilate. When it's announced, we move behind the boss. There we go, okay. The tank is moving him towards the middle of the room, so we can watch out for the next ability, which is called Flanking Orders, which is a row of warriors who just move slowly across the room. If you get in their way, you'll probably die. They're not attackable, you just need to move out of their way. Let's just have a look where they are there. The tank's going to move it a little bit over this way, so he thinks that's the shortest route out of there. Keep together, keep on the tank, that boss is still cleaving. Alright, and then after that we just wait for the next Annihilate, when the tank will probably try and move the boss back to the middle of the room. But the first thing to do when Annihilate is called is just move behind the boss. Then look out for where the tank's going, stick on top of the tank. Okay, there we go. Alright, you notice we are taking a lot of damage from that cleave, but as long as everyone is taking it, the damage will not be too bad. Okay. Okay, so at this point we're just coming to the end of this boss now, getting ready for the next one. We don't know what it's going to be. Oh, it's the Nutter. Okay, now what we have to do on this one is try to interrupt his crazy thoughts. Once enough of them have acquired, he sort of goes into a different phase where he sort of gets a bit paranoid, and you'll start to damage yourself when you're attacking him. So just up to this point, we're just going to keep trying to interrupt those. Maddening Shout, this ability means everyone becomes targetable. You must AoE a certain amount of damage. Once you've taken a certain amount of damage, you're no longer targetable your friends. It's not a mind control, and the important thing to bear in mind is if you do an AoE that applies a dot or anything like that, that effect will still persist afterwards. So don't apply any AoEs if it needs a dot. It doesn't need everyone in the raid to AoE, okay? It just needs a few people, really. Don't do anything like fear or any sort of abilities that are going to weaken people in the raid. Okay, now at this point he's running away a little bit. He's starting to go a little bit mad, I think, at this point. Or just about. At this point, just be a little bit careful. Don't interrupt anymore. Someone's interrupted that one. You shouldn't be interrupting the crazy thoughts, because you want them to get full stacks so it goes back to normal. You'll notice I'm taking a bit of damage. That's me sort of hitting back. You get a debuff, which will mean that you take a certain amount of damage. Just watch DPS. You don't need to say stop DPS completely. Just watch it. If you're going to start to kill yourself, just ease off a little bit. Give the healers a little bit of an easier time. You'll notice there, we're still going to get the abilities from the previous bosses. So the first boss there, the Flanking Orders, we had that. That'll keep going all the way through the fight. This Maddening Thoughts as well, when everyone just becomes targetable, that will keep going on through the fight even after this boss is dead. So you have to keep watching those. Every time a new boss comes up, there's a new one of these abilities that's just going to keep happening every so often. Okay, Maddening Shout there again, just AoE people, don't do anything that's going to cause a dot. Okay, and that's pretty much it for that boss. Okay, next boss up now is Subotai the Swift. He's a bit like a hunter thing, sort of arrows there. We want to stay spread on this one. Cast a volley there, just get out of the way of it. You can sort of see which way he's pointing. Don't get caught by that. You want to stay spread on this because every now and then he will pin people with his arrows. There we go. Some people are pinned there. If everyone was stacked up, everyone would have been pinned there. And it's more difficult then for the few people who were out of the way to break them out of it. This is particularly a problem if there's Flanking Orders going to get in the way, because you don't want those players stuck in there. Again, the abilities from the other boss are still going to appear, so the Maddening Shout there. Here's the Flanking Orders, so we need to move out of the way of those. Make sure, again, I think someone on that maddening shout had just applied a slow to people, so that made it more difficult to get out the flanking orders. Do be careful what AoEs you're applying. Okay, now another ability he has already used, but I sort of missed that one, was the pillage. He just sort of spins around, red circle around him, just get out of the way of it, it's dead easy. And then back onto him again. Just keep an eye out for people he's pinning. This boss is now, he's pinned some more. Make sure they're going to be broken out of it. Look, we were spread out there, so only one person got pinned, which is brilliant. And that's really all there is to this boss. This boss isn't that bad, really. Just if he looks like he's going to volley, don't stand in front of him. That's really it. Okay. Okay, so we're coming to the end of our third boss now. So the fourth one, Xian, in our case, must be interrupted at all times. With my particular interrupt, I can do it every sort of third cast. People should be sort of trying to stagger it out, so there's a few people trying to interrupt each particular cast with shadow damage. The other ability this boss has is he targets someone, you get a skull on your head, so there's no mistake if you're using DBM or something, and you get an ad on you which you have to kite away. Other people need to kill it. It is important to note that when this ad dies, it will leave sort of a grey void zone area. So it needs to be kited to the edges, really, so people aren't going to be walking through it, because it can cause a fair bit of damage. As you'll notice on the fourth boss, whichever is your fourth boss, you'll still get all the abilities from the others. You'll get the flanking orders we've just had there, move out the way of those. You're going to get the maddening shouts. You'll also get the pillage from Subutai. Pillage is no problem at all, just make sure you're out of it at the end of it. If you're still in a pillage when he's finished casting it, you'll get a debuff applied to you, which increases physical damage taken. So watch out for that. But yeah, with this boss, it's just a case of interrupting. When you're targeted, kite your ad to the edge. If you're killing that ad, if you're one of the ranged killing that ad, make sure you don't finish it off until they've kited it to the edge, because there we go, we can just sort of see in the corner of my screen someone's plonked. It's not quite at the edge, so that might cause a bit of a problem later on, depending on where flanking orders appear. And that's pretty much it. When you're on your final boss, you want to be a bit mindful of taking damage, because obviously the healer's mana may be stretched at this point, depending on how reckless you were earlier in the fight. So do what you can, make sure you avoid stuff. And, you know, maddening shout, don't slow. Don't slow, don't stun, don't fear, don't dot. If your AoE can't just do damage and nothing else, don't use it. Not everyone needs to use it. Okay, and that's really it for that boss. And here we are at the messy climax. A few people dead. At this point, there's a lot of stuff to try and avoid, try and be mindful of. They've got all the sort of abilities, that the ones that remain even after the other bosses are dead, as well as... oh, there we go, that's a good place to kill that. But there you go. Okay, job done.